Between 1554 and 1558, Spain and England were practically besties, thanks to the marriage of Philip II of Spain and Mary Tudor. They were united against France, sharing wine, war, and awkward family dinners. But then Mary died, and her Protestant half-sister Elizabeth I took the throne. Cue the ominous music. Elizabeth was Protestant, Philip was Catholic, and Europe was basically one giant religious powder keg. Philip secretly backed Catholic plots to dethrone Elizabeth, while Elizabeth gleefully encouraged privateers like Francis Drake to rob Spanish treasure fleets. Think of it as the 16th century version of cyber warfare, except with cannons and cutlasses. Spain controlled Flanders, but Dutch Protestants rebelled in 1572. England supported them because why not annoy Spain further? By 1578, Philip's nephew, the Duke of Parma, had contained the rebellion but realized he couldn't win unless he cut off English support. Philip demanded punishment for Francis Drake. Elizabeth knighted him instead. Spain staged a landing in Ireland in 1580. England crushed it. In 1582, Spain routed English allies at Villafranca do Campo. Philip thought, maybe I should just invade England. In 1585, Elizabeth doubled down, sending 7,000 troops to aid the Dutch rebels. Then in 1586, Elizabeth's spymaster Francis Walsingham uncovered the Babington Plot, a Catholic conspiracy to assassinate Elizabeth and replace her with Mary, Queen of Scots. Elizabeth responded by executing Mary in 1587. That was the last straw for Philip. Philip ordered Admiral Santa Cruz to assemble a fleet, 130 ships, 19,000 troops. Plan: sail to the Dutch coast, join Parma's 27,000 troops, cross the Channel, land near Dover, and march on London. Parma estimated they'd conquer the capital in 8 days. Easy peasy, right? On April 29, 1587, Drake pulled off the stunt of the century. He stormed Cadiz harbor, burned and sank 27 ships, and spent 6 weeks harassing Spanish ports. Supplies rotted, troops got sick, and the Armada was delayed until 1588. Philip was furious. Santa Cruz died in February 1588. Philip appointed Medina Sidonia, a brilliant land general but hopeless at sea. He even wrote to Philip, "I have not health for the sea. I soon become seasick." Imagine being told to command the world's largest fleet when you can't handle a rowboat. Picture this. Philip II of Spain, the most powerful monarch in Europe, dreams of conquering England. But even kings can't control the weather or their generals. Philip's instructions to Medina Sidonia were simple. Don't fight the English. Just link up with Parma and escort his troops to Dover. Easy, right? Wrong. Because here's the kicker. Parma and Sidonia couldn't even communicate properly. Sidonia assumed Parma would sail out to meet him off the Dutch coast. Parma knew his tiny barges couldn't break through the Anglo-Dutch blockade, so he expected Sidonia to come pick him up. Result? 2 commanders waiting for each other like awkward teenagers at a medieval prom. On May 10, 1588, the Great Armada sailed from Lisbon and immediately returned. Contrary winds. For 2 weeks, the fleet sat around, morale sinking faster than their spoiled food supplies. Finally, by June 17, they reached Cape Finisterre, only to discover their provisions had rotted. Sidonia ordered resupply, but sudden gales scattered the fleet. Some ships were blown as far as the Scilly Isles, alerting the English that something big was coming. Lord Charles Howard, England's admiral, tried a preemptive strike on Corunna with 100 ships. But guess what? Unfavorable winds. He had to turn back. Meanwhile, Sidonia reassembled his fleet, only to lose 5 ships to storms in the Bay of Biscay. By July 30th, the Armada finally appeared off Cornwall. Legend says Sir Francis Drake was playing bowls when the warning beacons lit up. His famous quip, "We have time to finish the game and beat the Spaniards too." Probably apocryphal, but it captures the English swagger. On July 31st, off Eddystone Rock, Sidonia arranged his ships in a crescent formation, lunula. Howard's 85 ships attacked from the rear, gaining the weather gauge, the wind advantage. English ships, smaller, faster, better guns, 3 to 4 shots per hour. Spanish ships, bigger, slower, clumsier guns, 1 shot per hour. Spanish infantry, superior numbers, eager to grapple and board. English strategy, no thanks, we'll just shoot from a distance. Howard attacked the center, while Drake targeted Admiral Recalde's squadron. Recalde fought bravely but was left isolated. Sidonia intervened with his flagship San Martin and 7 galleons. Drake kept his distance, avoiding boarding. Artillery thundered all afternoon, but neither side gained the upper hand. Howard pulled back, letting the Armada continue eastward. That same day, disaster struck the Armada. San Salvador exploded in a gunpowder accident, killing 200 men and destroying the crew's wages. Morale plummeted. The Rosario collided and was abandoned. Howard ordered Drake to lead the fleet with his lantern, but at midnight, Drake's light mysteriously vanished. Why? Because Drake chased a German merchantman and captured the stranded Rosario instead. Rival commander Martin Frobisher fumed, "He thinketh to cozen us out of our share of 15,000 ducats, but we will have our shares, or I will make him spend the best blood in his belly." On August 2nd, a change in wind gave the Armada the weather gauge. Sidonia, defying Philip's orders, sought battle. Howard tried to slip past close to land, but Sidonia blocked him. Fierce broadsides erupted. Frobisher's Triumph tried to outflank from the north. Sidonia sent galleasses, but they got trapped in the Portland Race tidal rip. Frobisher pounded them. Drake attacked the southern flank. Howard supported Frobisher. Sidonia's San Martin gallantly challenged Howard's Ark Royal and 7 ships. Howard fired 500 shots. San Martin replied with 80. Damage, minimal. Both sides disengaged, exhausted but still determined. On August 4th, Howard spotted 2 Spanish stragglers, San Luis and Santa Ana. Were they genuine stragglers or bait? Nobody knows. John Hawkins attacked, reinforced by Ark Royal. Sidonia's San Martin joined, leading to another gunnery duel. Meanwhile, Frobisher tried his flanking trick again, but the wind dropped, leaving his Triumph exposed and battered. By August 6th, the Invincible Armada had limped its way to the Straits of Dover. Supplies were dwindling, morale was shaky, and Medina Sidonia still hadn't heard from Parma. The Spanish admiral anchored at Calais roads, hoping to finally unite with his ally. But Parma's reply was a bureaucratic nightmare. His fleet at Dunkirk was ready, but his troops weren't even embarked yet. Why? Because King Philip's orders were so vague that Parma didn't dare load his men too early, lest they starve or die of disease waiting for Sidonia. On the night of August 7 to 8, the English unleashed their most devilish trick: fireships. 8 vessels packed with pitch, tar, and gunpowder were set ablaze and sent drifting straight into the anchored Armada. Spanish sailors panicked, cutting anchor cables and scattering into the night. Only 3 ships were lost, but the cohesion of the Armada was shattered. Sidonia tried to regroup, but strong currents shoved his fleet toward the sandy banks of Flanders. At dawn, the English pounced. Howard's fleet attacked Sidonia's flagship, San Martin, while Drake chased down the galleass San Lorenzo, which ran aground near Calais. Captain Moncada's musketeers fought like lions, inflicting heavy English casualties, but when Moncada was killed, resistance collapsed. The English looted 20,000 ducats, though they suffered more losses here than in the rest of the campaign combined. Meanwhile, San Martin was hammered by 40 English ships, including Drake's Revenge, Frobisher's Triumph, and Hawkins' squadron. The flagship took over 100 hits, yet still held firm until reinforcements arrived. Just as the Spanish seemed to rally, Admiral Seymour struck from the north with devastating broadsides. The San Felipe was mauled, losing 200 men, while the San Mateo and Maria Juan were driven ashore and destroyed. Spanish cries of "Lutheran chickens" rang out as English ships refused boarding combat, preferring to blast away from a safe distance. By 4 p.m., both sides were exhausted. Ammunition was nearly gone, food supplies were dwindling, and then storms! Heavy winds pushed the Armada into the North Sea, while Howard regrouped his fleet. Strategically, the English had won. The Armada was forced north, cut off from Parma, and unable to invade England. Sidonia regrouped on August 9th. But with no ammo and storms pushing him further north, he had only one option: sail around Scotland and Ireland to limp back to Spain. What followed was a nightmare. Spoiled supplies, disease, and relentless storms tore the Armada apart. By mid-September, 28 ships wrecked on the Irish coast, their survivors hunted down and executed. Sidonia staggered back to Corunna on September 21st with barely half his fleet. Out of nearly 130 ships, 44 were lost. Out of 30,000 men, 11,000 were dead, most from disease and shipwreck. England lost only about 100 men in combat. though disease claimed 3,000 more. But the English navy remained intact, ready for a counterstrike. And in April 1589, Francis Drake and John Norris launched the English counter-armada against Corunna. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe, like, and share. Every follow helps grow this channel. See you